everybody. For everybody else that is here, for Mastery folks, those items will be available for you as well. So super fired up and welcome. If this is like your first huddle, you're like, what is this? We're here to start the day amazingly, to help people grow their money, time, and magic through a formula. And we're here to co-create simple, fun, and magical micro distinctions and frictionlessness that free exponential abundance. And we got some awesome people to bring up today that I think there's some really cool teaching moments and shares that will go into it. So Fernando, who are our amazing guests for today?
You know what, Sean, that's a great question. I've been so present to the huddle. Honestly, I forgot to check. So
okay, all good. No, Peter Swain. Peter Swain is one of them. The amazing Peter Swain. Let's bring Peter up and unmute Peter, please.
Peter is here. Thank you.
Peter, how are you?
I couldn't be better, Sean. I'm tired, but pumped and psyched. And thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, so Peter Swain just was the leader of the amazing team. And it was the Rebels. Peter, what's the actual name?
The Fighting Rebels. Terrible name, but we went with it.
The Fighting Rebels. The Fighting Rebels. And Peter, along with his teammates, which we'll let him share and talk about, they just won Tony Robbins Business Mastery. So Peter, like, what's happening, what that all looked like, and what lessons were gleaned from that process? And by the way, it wasn't about winning Business Mastery. It was about impacting a great cause. But I'm acknowledging Peter for the Fighting Rebels under his and other amazing leadership, winning Business Mastery and with the impact. So what's happening, sir?
Thank you, Sean. To me, I guess you said about the lessons, and that's the most important thing. But before we do that, there's so many people inside this that I need to thank, and I'm going to do it very quickly.
Please.
But obviously, it starts with Tony Robbins and his team and the coaches and trainers and all that infrastructure that goes around putting on that kind of an event, because it's amazing. And you, Sean, and Fernando, you know how much it takes to make these things actually manifest. So that's where I start. But then I'm actually going to be the first person I want to thank is actually Fernando, because Fernando was my route into Unblinded. Fernando was the reason that I'm here. Fernando's the reason, Sean, I met you and have been inspired by you and everything that you've done. And I can hand on heart 100% say that without what I've taken from Unblinded and the team here and the energy here and the consistent dedication to it, that 30 children wouldn't get to sleep in their own beds at some point in the future. And that was the message that we took into our daily huddles inside our team. 30 children get to sleep in their own bed and not somebody else's at some point in the future because of what we have done. And there are so many more people I can bring into that that have been part of that journey, but you trace it through. And when I was sitting with Darcy and I met Fernando, and I'm like, I literally said to Fernando on the first day, I'm like, Fernando, I think I've got a man crush on you. I don't know if I want to like be with you or be with you, but there's just something about you. And he said, have you met Sean? And I went, no. And he went, come meet Sean. I went, no. And we were at the villa, Sean, at the rooftop, the penthouse party after Unblinded. And I was like, no, this is Sean's moment. There's loads of people. Me and Sean will meet when it's the right time that we can find our energy and find our space. And that then happened at West Palm Beach at your birthday, which was amazing. And yeah, I can hand on heart say, none of this would have happened. Those children would not have been saved if it wasn't for Fernando as that path into this. So Fernando, Sean, and everybody on this huddle that makes this a reality every day, your actions, your intent, your integrity, your energy, you have a part to play in every single child that now gets to sleep in their own bed. And I thank you and honor you and worship you for everything that gives me. And I'm grateful, grateful, and grateful.
I am immensely grateful, Peter, and I would be remiss if I didn't throw that right back first at Tony Robbins. So every day that I think about what we're doing, and I think about the online engagements and Real Raws and the huddle, I think back to the earliest stages of Tony being a model and inspiration. I think to his Personal Power CDs, I believe it's on Personal Power, where he talks about other people in his Toastmasters group. They were speaking, like, I think he says like once a month. And he's like, I was speaking 3 times a day. Like Tony's like, I was speaking 3 times a day. And so it's those things that we talk about modeling. What are we modeling? Like, are we modeling feeling happy and smiling, which is a beautiful thing, but what other actions are we modeling? And so I think, to like Tony saying that he compressed the progress that other people have had in a decade, for some of them, it's like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did in a year, they couldn't have done in a lifetime at that pace. And his skills just radically, I mean, the reason he's the best in the world is because he took insane, massive action, right? Repetitive, like actually not insane, most intelligent of massive action, but had to deal with his own emotions and states every day to do that, to make all those things happen. So this is just, modeling the greatest genius in the space of impact. I believe that's ever walked the space of personal development. So immensely grateful. And then you, Peter, your actions and consistency have been relentless. Consistently taking action, consistently finding ways to add more value for people. And I know personally, you've done an extraordinary amount of things with no direct line to financial benefit for you. You've given away a ton of your time, a ton of your energy, and I want to acknowledge you for that in a massive, massive way.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you. But I didn't answer your question about lessons, and it would be remiss on. You just used the word. Look how you have influenced me without even realizing it. I just went to use the word remiss. Terrible. Let's use my language. It would be.
You just saw magic, people. You just saw magic.
It's happened right now. Like, oh, get out! I didn't let you in that time.
Don't blink. Don't blink.
Don't blink. Sean, that should be your tattoo if you ever get one. Don't blink.
I love that.
Okay, the lessons that we pulled out of it. There was 3 that I think are really worthwhile for people on Trajectory Tuesday. That I've been dialing into them and looking at it, and these are the 3 that I thought were the number one. Number one was that we actually fired somebody from our team. All right, and listen to that. Anyone that doesn't know what business mastery is, this is like a group of people get together, do something, and I, as the team leader, actually fired somebody from a voluntary get-together thing. I went, you're not part of this anymore. And the reason was, our mission all the way through this was, we are here to add value. We are not here to win. We are here to add value. And the reason was, the last business mastery, which personal ego moment, which I also won, just so 2 in a row.
So Peter Swain just wins business mastery again.
Yeah, well, I'm 2 for 2. So I've been to 2 and I've won 2. I'm now thinking about never going again. But there was a team called the Superheroes, and they got disqualified because one of their team, without instruction, went and broke into the SMS system and started stealing data to reach people to get donations.
Wow.
And, I mean, I met the guy that did it, and his heart was so pure. And I'm like, dude, you didn't just get disqualified, you broke the law, right? This isn't, you broke the law. And he's like, yeah, but I just wanted to win. I'm like, that's a real problem right there. Yeah. Right? You can get so blinded by your goals if you have the wrong goal.
Yeah, that's big.
Every day, we started every day by saying 30 children will get to wake up in their own beds, not somebody else's. And people would say, oh, but this team are doing this. I'm like, I don't care. You can't put anything in the space of this conversation that is as important as the sentence I just said. Sit with that, nothing else. So that was number one. Number 2 was that I really actively seek to empower the leadership and give a clear direction to them of this is our vision, but then let them do it their way, knowing that they were trusted and loved. And I was there to support them whenever they needed it. But people made decisions, quite frankly, that I didn't agree with. There were some things that my leadership team did that I wouldn't do it that way. But you being motivated and enthused and in a state of peak and going at it is far more important than the 5% difference of how you do it.
Yeah, the need to be right. The need to be right can be one of the greatest destroyers of an outcome, right? So great job with that, Peter. And what else, brother?
My last one actually came from indirectly from you, Sean. On the first day of Business Mastery, we went through which is your specific gift, entrepreneur, artist, or manager. And if you'd asked me for the last 20 years, I'd have said artist. I build stuff, I create stuff. And I was listening to somebody said something a slightly different way. And it linked back to something, Sean, that you said a couple of weeks ago. And I went, I'm crazy. I'm not an artist. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to make a decision and sprinkle dust and then move on to the next thing. That's my energy. And for anyone that's on this, I ran Hack Mankind, and yeah, we reached 30,000 people and we helped people during COVID. But ultimately, I don't think it was the success it could have been. And looking back on it, it's because I was operating as an artist. I was operating from a space of, I'm going to build this. And I had 27 other people on my team giving their time for free. And I invalidated their opinions because I was the artist.
Right.
And when I realized you're not the artist, you're the entrepreneur here, Pete, this is what you're good at. You're good at telling stories. Nobody else was visualizing it in terms of this is we didn't actually say 30 kids, sorry. What we said was, I showed people a diagram and said, this is an elementary school in the United States. The average elementary school in the United States has 26 students in it. So shut your eyes and think back to your time in school and what that room looked like, because that's the room we're going to fill. And one of the things that Bill Gross said in one of his talks at Business Mastery is one of the key skills of entrepreneurship is how you tell a story, how you bring other people on. So John, you've been, again, instrumental in with me. And when I stepped into I'm an entrepreneur, it allowed me to look at the guy that was making a decision that I didn't agree with and go, that's okay, that's cool. I don't need this to be created as I want it to be created, because that's not my genius. My genius is that I can do this with 87 people at the same time and enable all of you. And I think that from a trajectory perspective is perhaps the most important thing I've got to say. Dial into
Amen.
what you are and you will accelerate.
Yeah.
Try and be
Amen,
something
brother.
else, you'll handicap yourself.
You know, and when you're working in any startup or next level accelerant, the ability to get into momentum is critical. And so when you have a window of 4 or 5 days at a Business Mastery or anything that you're looking to launch in a tight window, you could destroy everything, you know, with a very, very narrow dynamic of anybody needing to be right and stopping that build into momentum and abundance phases of acceleration. So awesome job. Couldn't be happier and we're proud of you as we have vehicles zipping by on the beach. And Fernando, acknowledging you, brother, for the acknowledgement of Peter and meeting incredible and fine folks, and Darcy and yourself, and you know, here's Peter. So thank you, brother. And I want to pause for a moment. Fernando, we have another awesome guest to bring up. Yes.
That is correct.
Yes. So let's do that. And Peter, stay with us, okay?
Will do.
Okay. And so yes, and who's coming on up, Fernando?
Well, hello and welcome. Entrepreneur extraordinaire, just like jumping in the middle of this beautiful conversation. She has different backgrounds, all which are elegant, and she's coming in here today, you know, to share. So welcome to the group, Michelle.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Michelle, how are you?
You know what? I am amazing this morning. I'm kind of blown away by everything that Peter just said. It was really just beautiful and heartfelt. And thank you for that. It made my day just hearing the things that you said.
Yeah. So you want to hear a rock star story, Peter? Michelle, and tell me if I get any of these optics suboptimally, Michelle, went from growing up in a suboptimal environment or challenging environment, to be sure, to eventually becoming a paralegal, saying, you know what, I'm gonna build my own thing. And Michelle now has 5,000 attorneys that she has placed and have done work. And just, I don't know the total top end number, but tons of law firms all over the country that she works with. And this is a person who completely self-made this enterprise, Peter. So Michelle, did I get that right?
Close enough.
Yeah. What did I miss? Help me.
Well, I wasn't actually a paralegal. I actually started as like filing things and ended up managing the firm within a year.
Got it.
I just went from there to managing it within a year. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So you were basically, an administrative like filing person that took over running the firm, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to build like my own business with like 5,000 lawyers, and then like we're just getting started. Is that fair?
That is fair. Yes.
Yeah. And so if Michelle, we're sitting in the space of talking about getting into we talk about 3 phases of acceleration on this Trajectory Tuesday. And we talk about going from arduous into momentum into abundance. So I cannot even imagine the dynamics and challenges you had getting through arduous, but I'm imagining that as you built this awesome enterprise, and by the way, what's the name of your company?
Attorneys in Motion.
Attorneys in Motion, right? As you built Attorneys in Motion, I can't even fathom the number of things that did not go the way you wanted to and did not go according to what you thought would exactly happen. Fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what'd you do? Yeah, go ahead. Please share. Yeah.
Well, when you're excited and you're starting your business and you're expecting a certain outcome, a certain monetary number at these points that you set for yourself, and those things don't happen, and making people know that your business exists, those things are very difficult. And I guess the way that I overcame them really was getting through a lot of my fears of talking to other people. And I'd be up 4 a.m. every morning, adding more people to LinkedIn, messaging more people to LinkedIn, using my teenage kids to add more courthouse addresses into our database so that we could serve more locations. And it was.
So wait. I'm sorry, Michelle. And I'm only teasing and having a little bit of fun, so nobody get offended. But I like to tease and have a little bit of fun. So you're not saying that you only called the people you knew? You didn't just like go down to call 3 of your friends and like be like, oh well, yeah, like this is my network, and whatever's going to happen from here is what's going to happen. Peter, why are you chuckling, brother?
It's so funny because in a very nice way, because when someone's connected to their mission and their ego's taken out of it, the who I'm talking to just fades in importance, because it's no longer about how am I offended, will I be rejected, will I be loved, will I be seen. It's if I sell these cookies, if I make this donation, I will save a child. If I do this, I will build my business, and that allows me to do this. And dialing into your true why, or whatever it gets called, just removes the question of who you're talking to. Because you're like, I pitched Simon Cowell in the Dorchester Hotel when I was completely drunk, like off my head drunk, because it was like, that's Simon Cowell, and they're like, yeah, what are you going to do? I'm going to pitch him. Why would I do anything other than as a digital strategist pitch Simon Cowell? It was terrible. It was an absolute disaster, because pitching somebody like Simon Cowell when you're drunk is really a bad idea. But
well, call up Simon and see if he wants to be on The Real Raw, and we'll judge him.
I don't know if he'll talk to me again, Sean, because I called him Sir Simon, and he said, I'm not a sir. And I pinched his cheeks and said, yet, positive thinking, Simon. Positive thinking, my friend.
Well, we'll leave it to Michelle. She'll reach out to him. So, Michelle, how many people do you think you've spoken to in your life that before you spoke to them, you did not know them? Like, just give me a number.
Oh, wow. Hundreds. I mean, maybe over 1,000 easily.
Yeah. So,
it was scary.
Yeah. So what number did you go from being scared to like, just this is like what is, and I'm crushing this? Do you think? Like, do you remember that, like, about where that crossover was? Like, how long into the journey did you begin to have that fear dissipate?
It was immediate. I literally put my back up against the wall. I'm a single mom of 4 kids in high school and middle school and elementary school. And I didn't really get child support. I chose not to take a job at a bigger firm, so I didn't have any income. I was just living off of some savings, put my back up against a wall, and it eliminated my fear because it was a sink or swim situation. And I was not.
So you created massive, massive leverage and just went forward. There's a lot of beautiful people on this phone line right now who are like, well, you know, I'm just trying to get a little bit comfortable to like reach out and build ecosystem mergers with some people I don't know. And like lovingly on Trajectory Tuesday, on the other side of that fear is everything you dream about. Is everything you dream about. Is that a fair statement, Michelle?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. And when like back in the darkest, most challenging moments of your life and your background, would you ever, and maybe you did, like, did you foresee getting to today? Like where you are, and I know there's a long journey to go for you to build everything you dream of, but it's a dream already. Like, did you even, when, you know, in high school, when you were, you know, faced with some challenges, did you ever see getting to this moment?
No, it was not something that was available to me or something that I even knew existed. Where I grew up, it was very small-minded. Nobody usually gets out of that area. And it wasn't something that I could even envision in my mind. So I'm lucky because I worked for it.
You're not lucky at all. You're amazing. And what was it that you, like, what was the leverage inside of you to say, I'm not going to live like my circumstances? And there was issues surrounding you of addiction, lack of financial abundance, right? Like real challenges. And what was it around you, or what was it inside of you that said, all this around me, this is not who I am. This is not my life. This is not my future. Like, what was it that drove that for you?
Well, then my reason, my why was my kids. I had several kids at a very young age, and I was not about to have them grow up the way that I grew up in the environment that I did. I wasn't going to be a statistic. I guess that was part of it was my ego. There was something, a little fire burning deep inside that knew I was made for more. And so the two things coupled, mainly my kids.
Yeah. So amazing. And Tony Robbins, we're talking about Tony in a variety of ways today, just says it's like in that moment of decision, everything happens. Like a decision's a moment, right? A decision happens in a moment. It's all the pain, the leverage, the attaching to our why that builds up around it to drive that action forward. And you're just such an incredible example of it, Michelle, taking massive action. And you're here, you're in this program. I'm immensely grateful for that. And you're an inspiration to people here because there's things that you're doing and actions you've already taken that some people are trying to just get themselves to be able to like have the number. How many law firms do you think approximately that you've worked with to date in your business?
Probably around 7,500.
7,500 law firms from a person who grew up without means, without contacts, without resources, 100% self-made. 7,500 law firms this woman has done business with. Absolutely, utterly extraordinary. And so, we've had some beautiful folks here that have reached out to like one professional services firm to do business and didn't have it go well. And if they were discouraged, like, what would you say, Michelle, as somebody who has done business with 7,500? So I can't even imagine how many have said no. So what would you tell somebody that was like discouraged after one or two contacts?
Keep going. Reframe the way that you're going about it. If you've tried it a couple times and it's not working, maybe look a little bit inward and see if this is what Unblinded is for, right? Like teaching us how to communicate better. And what I've learned from that is I never dreamt in a million years communication was built so much on listening more than talking. So keep going. What's that book? Pound the Stone, where you just keep pounding the stone like 100 times. It takes 99 hits. And then finally on that 100th hammer, the stone breaks. And just keep going no matter what.
So what's your extraordinary, Michelle? So what's your declaration here? Like, what are you committed to creating? What can we see in the future from you? And why are you here at Unblinded?
Okay, the future.
Yeah.
You keep saying 7,500 law firms like it's so many, right? But we all know how many there are in the United States of America and how many attorneys. So my goal is at least 100,000, because in comparison, 7,500 really isn't that many. So I'll at least touch 100,000 law firms in some way or another, or attorneys, just solo practitioners, both of them. My mission with that, it's not just doing what I do right now is court appearance work. We have stand-in lawyers, and we're adding freelance work onto that platform as well. But my dream is, because I have come to realize and see like the real pain in lawyers, my life revolves around them, is they're not all great business people. They're not all great communicators. They're not great trial lawyers or amazing at retaining clients. So, and with Unblinded, I'm really excited to work that into my attorney base, so that can help them. I really just want to help them be better for themselves and run law firms for those that are struggling.
Awesome. And Michelle, just for everybody here, extraordinary, are attorneys generally in pain? Do they have all of the money, all the time, all the magic in their life that they want? Because a lot of people look at attorneys like, they're just happy, they're successful. Like, is that your experience? Or is there a lot of room for more money, time, and magic in the space of legal?
I see mostly pain from most of the attorneys. I mean, for example, the 5,000 of them that do contract work with us, because of COVID and the courts closing, they're out of work, and they rely on that income to pay their bills. And they're hurting right now. So I try to stay in communication with them as much as I can, make sure everybody's doing okay. And again, I'm very excited for Unblinded to introduce that into their lives, because I think that it can really help relieve some of that pain that they're feeling.
Awesome. And I want to thank Michael Smikin for connecting us. I want to thank everybody in the team. I know you've been having awesome contact with Sean Grossi. I know you've spent some time in the world with Adam and Fernando, and just thank you, Michelle. And I am fired up as could be. And, we talk about these issues and how influencers influence influencers to merge ecosystems to make the world a greater place. And legal is at such an epicenter of it. And, I've had some very unique success in the space of money, time, and magic in the law. And with your work, our work together, we're going to make a lot of magic happen. So I'm thrilled and I'm thankful for you being here today. And any final from you?
Thank you. I'm beyond thankful. I mean, this is helping me fulfill myself, which is helping people. I'm just really empathetic, caring person, sometimes a little too much. And I feel like I can feel their pain. And just thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this world and help bring other people into it.
Well,
Michelle, this is my Thankful Tuesday also.
I'm sorry?
It's also my Thankful Tuesday. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate you, and your leadership is felt already. Your inspiration is felt, and we're just beginning. So thank you, Michelle. Peter, final from you, brother. We'll take this home.
I was thinking what I was going to say and trying to do something as inspirational as Michelle. And Michelle, thank you for telling your story. It's amazing. And yeah, it's only 7,500 firms, right? Only 7,500. Love it. I would say, Sean, that if you want to solve big problems, you need big stages. And if you want to solve big stages, you need big strength. And if you want to have big strength, you need big trauma. The closer you get to greatness, the harder it will be for you to get to that next stage. And if you've got that mission and wine integrity, it's so easy to get pulled towards it. But you have to see those challenges as the opportunities to shape and sharpen your weapons that allow you to then go to the next level, the next thing. Everything that me and my team just achieved over the last 3-4 days only came about because of the things I learned on the times that I did it wrong. Right? That's when I learned how to do it right, is when I did it wrong. And so many people do something wrong and they internalize it into their ego, and then their momentum just stops right there because they're so busy judging what they did wrong. They don't see the lessons. And one of our Dimple, who I believe is on this call, Dimple Thakrar, was literally talking to me this morning saying there's so many beautiful lessons in some of the things that didn't go right. And if you can't listen to those, you can't get to the next stage, right? So what's good for you, 30 kids or 300,000 or 3 million? And I'm like, all of them, 10 million, every single child in sex slavery, that's the goal, 10 million. So then you got to take these lessons and take it to the next step. And I just think that people butt up against that lesson. And too often, if they don't have their why and their mission dialed in, it's too scary and they walk away. And like with Michelle, her true why, her children, is the ultimate driver. There's not anything she's going to get up against. She's not going to go, I'm going to find a way through this. And that then gives her the learnings to tackle the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing.
Awesome, brother. Saving children, learning lessons, building more money, less time with more magic. And for like simple fun, Peter, right? A whole bunch of people, including Michelle, are going to get a bunch of cookies from Unblinded, because that's what ecosystem merging is about. So thank Kuda, Unbelievables, your incredible team. We got a bunch of cookies coming, and that was all part of this mission. So, like, when do I get my cookies, Peter?
Nicole, I knew you were going to ask me. Nicole and Kuda are talking on Thursday, and I didn't even mention this. Wow. Sean was one of a huge donor to this. And so Sean, apart from all the gifts, apart from the friendship, apart from Unblinded, thank you for actually being one of our donors.
I wasn't saying it for that. I was saying for fun, but thank you. That we're going to have a truckload of cookies coming. So everybody, love you all. We've gone a little bit long. Peter, fantastic. Michelle, thank you. It is Trajectory Tuesday. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Face your fears. But don't face your fears and do it anyway. First, gain leverage on yourself and realize what's at stake for you. And for every dream you have of impacting other people, that's what's at stake when you're like, oh, I'm not sure what they're going to say and I'm a little afraid. I validate the fear. It's real. It's there. But look at Michelle and the inspiration of